Do you network? What are some strategies you use for networking? Do you network to improve your life? Do you help others who are in your network? How do you grow your network? Welcome to Be a Better Person, a channel all about self-discovery, self-improvement, making yourself a better person so you can help other people be better people, embracing your flaws, loving yourself. Today's topic is about networking. One thing I am terrible at. I've never done it that often, ever in my life. I sometimes hate to even ask my friends for help or things. So this is going to be a good one, and I really would like your input on this one. And remember, everything that I'm going to talk about here is what I believe, what I feel, and I would love to hear what you feel and what you believe, and maybe some ideas on how I can network better. So I think some of the biggest things about networking is I just feel like I'm a burden. I feel like I'm not, I don't know, maybe I can do it all on my own. I don't want to feel like I'm taking advantage of somebody. I don't want to feel like I'm a burden. I don't know. Just something I've never been good at, mainly because I think through my youth, I just always thought I could do everything on my own. I think I still have that mindset a little bit today, even though I'm trying to work on it. And this is a topic that other people, like I said, would really help me. So I'm going to use some examples of things that I think I failed at that I could have networked a little bit more. So when I was in college, I did a special studies business to business advertising. There were no classes on that. The majority of the advertising classes, which was my major, Fair State, go Bulldogs. Anyways, I had my advertising classes, and almost all of it was focused on consumer advertising. Not very much. I mean, there was little sections here and there in some of the books that were about business to business, but not ever anything that just really looked at what's different between advertising to consumers and advertising to other businesses. And so I went to two of my professors in my senior year and said, hey, I would like to do a special studies and focus on this. And it was a lot of research. Most of it was reading books, articles, had bibliography pages. I think, man, it was 6 or 7 long of all the source things. But the biggest thing that I could have done that would have made things so much better is reached out to maybe some ad agencies and some people who did business to business advertising and got their take on things that should be taught in school in order to prepare people to sell to other businesses. And man, what a network that would have been, and probably would have helped me get a really good job after college, but I missed the boat on that one. I don't know why. I think just sometimes when you're younger, you don't necessarily have ideas. And I don't really remember going to my professors and saying, hey, what are some other ideas you think that I could do? I just tried to do it all on my own. Man, there's a big theme about that in my life. And so then my first real job, I mean, I had some other jobs that were real jobs, but my first job after college that I had was I got a job at a newspaper as a salesperson. Which, you know, a whole county and part of another county of businesses to go see and talk to. And some of those people probably ended up being, I don't know if any of them were my friends, because I don't know if we just hung out completely, business owners, but some of them were pretty good acquaintances. Some of the people I did talk to regularly, especially when I ran into them. But I never tried to develop that network into something that could help me advance my career besides through my regular job that I had. Then I went to be the advertising manager of that publication, and then I went to be the advertising director of 5 publications. So I knew tons of people in like 6 different counties, all business owners, the majority of them. And not once, even when I was disenfranchised with my job, did I ever reach out to any of those people and say, hey, you see that I've been doing a good job. Maybe you might be interested in hiring me. Or, hey, could I come up with a business myself on the side that could cater to businesses? Nope, didn't do any of that stuff. So yeah, networking has always been a terrible, terrible, terrible thing for me. Again, because I always went through the thing back when I was younger too, is always thinking that people didn't remember me when I would see them. Another thing, when I moved from Pinconning, where the paper stuff all happened, is where I lived when the paper stuff happened. 5 different counties, and none of them were the county I lived in, Bay. Well, Northern Bay County, I did some of the sales in. Anyhow, the point of this whole thing is that we moved to Manistee to become an insurance agent. And so after a year, that didn't work out. Again, I had, I think, close to 2,000 people in my book of business, and some of them were business owners, some of them new business owners. I didn't develop the relationships or the networking to make sure that when I was then unemployed, I could have reached out to them and said, hey, and I can't remember, somewhere between 38 and 40 years old. Time when you get old, you forget about. But it was the first time I was ever on unemployment. And I think maybe it was also the first time that I ever thought that I had failed at something. Even though it was partially my choice, because I did not like the insurance business, no. But that's a whole nother story. So anyways, I was unemployed, and I think it was just kind of a thing to catch my breath. And so I wasn't really looking overly hard to find a new job right away, because I was going to take the unemployment, lick my wounds from feeling like I was a failure because I failed at something that I had tried. And I was involved in several different things at that time. I was on the chamber. I was a member of Kiwanis, Habitat for Humanity. My wife was in JC's, and I did some things still, even though I had aged out, to volunteer there. I coached basketball. So I had a lot of connections that I never even reached out. And one of my fellow members in the Kiwanis happened to be a part owner in a business, a printing business, I had some experience in that. I didn't ask him. He just one day was like, what are you doing now? And I'm like, just collecting unemployment and licking my wounds. And he's like, come on. Went and introduced me to another, one of the other co-owners of the business. And by the end of the day, I had a job. I could have probably had one sooner if I would have just said to Lee, hey, are you looking for anybody? I'm really good at selling printing. Wasn't none of my part. It was just happened that I happened to volunteer for a thing, and luckily he reached out and I got that job. So why do you think that I didn't network? I mean, I think still back a lot of the things from my younger days that I thought I could ever do everything alone. And like I said, I sometimes felt like it was, I don't know, dishonest if I'm using somebody to advance myself. And that's kind of maybe how I looked at networking too. And then if I wasn't just going to do it myself, I would like your thoughts on that as well. I mean, I think as long as you're helping somebody and they're helping you, and that's what friends and sometimes people in the network do, is they help you, and then maybe there'll be a time in the future you'll help them, or maybe they even just help you and you never have anything that you can do to help them because they're already where they need to be. I don't know. Let me know what you think about that. So I am going to try to start working on networking going forward. More just to develop something so maybe I can help other people, because I don't think that I'm in a place where I really need to necessarily have other people help me. Unless maybe I could make some friendships where possibly somebody could get me in to do a talk on the stuff that I've talked about on this channel, and maybe I can help more people. That might be the only thing that I possibly would want to network on. But I'm going to really start working on doing it again now, and then maybe even be having some more friendships than just doing the thing. Like right now I'm on village council, and I just go in and I do the village council thing and I go home, and I've not really tried to make bonds or relationships with those people outside of the meetings that we go to. So that's another thing that I need to possibly really start working on. So what are some of your networking strategies? How do you feel about networking? How have you built your network? What are some do's and don'ts of networking, or to ask of the people in your network? Any comments you have on that stuff would really, really be helpful, because I mostly today don't have any strategies of how you can build your network, except for not be afraid to ask people, not be afraid. Because if you never ask, the answer is always no. If you ask and there's no, That's another thing that helps build you, because you get used to the word no. And then you feel like failure or asking is nothing to be scared of. So what? They said no, no big deal. Try again with somebody else, or I'll just let it go because it's not that important. So anything that you could put in here would really, really, really help me. And maybe that advice might help others. So remember, your smile makes me smile. Be grateful, be kind, be helpful. And until next time, have a great day.